Good evening. My name is Cindy Tysinger, and I am the founder and Chief Culture Officer of Regenrus. And tonight, I am just wanting to welcome everybody to our call. We're so glad that you took some time out of your busy schedules. We know at night there's a lot going on, but we're just really grateful you're here.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you for creating a company and a vision and giving us this opportunity to create and connect and collaborate together in this incredible space. And tonight's call is called Limitless, and we chose that language very carefully. Limitless is a very cool word. It literally means without end, limit, or boundary. And that's the vision for the content and the quality of what we do during our time together, to really create a ripple of value that starts here with the people live, but goes far and beyond anything that we could even comprehend in this moment. So we invite everyone to share it. We invite everyone to reach out with an open heart and mind. We're very conscious of who we bring onto this call to share who they are and what they're up to, so that we can be sure that this is a message that really can impact lives on a global scale. And I'm absolutely deeply honored to welcome Donna Koontz to our call tonight. I am truly blessed to call her a friend, a mentor, a guide. She has taught me so much just in the time that we've had together, in terms of really finding my own light, connecting that with people and shining it out loud. And that is Donna's language. It is a lifestyle, a mentality, spirituality, and an energetics that I've adopted. I'm forever grateful to Donna, and I'm so excited for her to share her light with all of you tonight and far beyond what happens tonight. So without further ado, Donna, please, the floor is yours.
I think that was great. I'm done. That was super kind. I mean, very generous. I appreciate y'all very much. So thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Brian. I love just the name Limitless. You know, we breathe life into words. We breathe life into thoughts. That's alive before we even add the juice to breathe it out there. And Limitless is a good one, because that's really who we are from the inside out. And I know Cindy invited me to speak in honor of recognizing that this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and what we've all gone through together globally, collectively, over the last 400 and something days, has inspired a tremendous amount of grief and a tremendous amount of stress. And for some strange reason, that has been no stranger to my life, my world, the imbalance of emotions, not me, but, I have a real heart for people that are struggling. So I'll tell you a little bit about where I came from. I always wanted to be a mother and a teacher and a dancer. That was my big thing. I had polio as a child, so they put me into ballet as therapy. It became a passion of mine. When I grew up, I was privileged to be both. I have a wonderful family, 4 children, 8 grandchildren. And I had a fitness franchise, which allowed me to be a full-time mother and also have my own entrepreneurial business. And I was able to be on their international dance team. So I came and went. So it was like really wonderful. And then my earlier opportunity with my health revisited me and prohibited me from engaging in that anymore. So my journey took me from the beginning with wellness from the outside, really with a focus, not so much on the mental, emotional, but on the physical, strengthening, body, health, wellness, nutrition. And then when I wasn't able to participate physically, I decided that, well, what can I do? And I really did. I sat in the chair one day and said, what am I going to do if I really can't walk or dance or, even be active? And I thought, well, I can talk, I can think, I can share. So I decided I was going to get into training. And this is who we are as people. Oh, I think I'm going to decide to do that. And then you just do it. It's not about the label. It's not about the title. We're living in this world right now where we have agreed to go through what we're going through to a degree. And some people are tolerating that with a lot more resilience than others. So I want to offer some tips and tricks for that for you this evening. So I started out with the physical. It shifted to the mind body when I needed to do that in order to heal myself and to align myself with the intelligence, the heart intelligence and intuition to seek natural health. And that led me into Manatech, where I met Cindy, and I had some wonderful experiences there. And with my health, it impacted my health tremendously. And I was a training developer and designer. I'd been working for Nikan and in the industry of wellness. And I became the trainer there. And so I got to go all over the world with people of many different languages, many different cultures, many different belief systems and philosophies, and work with them for 3-day seminars. And it was personal development. And it was watching people wake up from the inside. And, you know, every time I did that, I grew a little bit. Because in my world, it's like, well, you know, every time you get here, hey, there's a whole new there. And there's a horizon that wasn't even a part of your awareness, whether it's energetic or just 3D, it doesn't matter. So that was really great. And that evolved over the course of time into, I usually say, personal development to transformational development. But even before transformational development, it was more about transitional development, where it's a subtle change of your awareness. And that's what I got to watch happen. People's hearts, they'd have these ahas and you could see that. But transformational development is the capacity of an integral system to change structure and behavior without changing the core essence of who you are. And that's a huge thing. Structure and behavior without changing the core essence of who you are. And that's where vibrational transformation and relational energetics comes in, because that you're aligning with your nature. And that all starts with the heart. So I got into that, which led me to HeartMath. You know, I had an opportunity once again with my health, and this wonderful man came along, found me out of nowhere, literally saw me in a crowd. And as a gifted healer himself, he was able to recognize that I was filled with opportunity for healing. And he called me one night at home, and I answered the phone, and, you know, I was like, oh no. He said, how are you doing? I didn't really know who he was. And so I said, oh, I'm fine. He said, are you really? I said, no, I really am. And I really was not at all fine. I was very ill, but bless his heart, he hung up and said, okay, well then, you know, I guess I can't help you, which, you know, it's like you take the candy away from the baby. Well, now I want it. So I did my homework and I looked for him, and I did connect with some people and discover who he was, and called him back and had an honest heart to heart conversation with him. And he very, very gracefully came back to California. He was in Washington, and I met him and worked with him, and he sent me to HeartMath. Now, HeartMath was supposed to be for me to learn how to use emotional management and self-regulation to help my physical body regain some strength and resilience. But of course, as soon as I got there, I was so blown away by the research. You know, it's over 30 years of research-based science. And I got there when they were 2 years old. So I've had the privilege of witnessing a lot of that research. And we're working with all 4 branches of the military. We work with first responders. We work in multitudes of universities globally. We work in endless hospitals, high-end hospitals, Stanford, all kinds of hospitals, universities. We have a children's program. We have a trauma program. We have extensive working with wounded warriors and veterans. So it's the kind of thing that it doesn't replace any practice. It doesn't replace any belief system. It doesn't compete with any philosophy, but it expands and maximizes the experience of that which you are already aligned with, whatever it is that is your core belief system. And that's one of the big distinctions with the technology of HeartMath, which I'll share a little bit more with you in a little bit. And the other thing is, you know, we call it a heart lock-in. And there's a number of tools actually over the course of time, but sometimes we refer to it as meditation. The difference is you don't have to shut the world out to get the same benefits that you would get if you would drop into a deep meditative state. This is done actually mostly in my day-to-day world. For example, I'm doing it right now because I want to be coherent. I'm looking at these faces on the screen and I can't really feel you, but I really can if I really go to my heart. I can at least be present with you and meet you where you're at. And that's the entry point to a deeper connection. It's the entry point to an expanded capacity amongst ourselves and each other as a collective. So I really love that about HeartMath. You know, we work with a lot of EMTs because, and the soldiers. I mean, they can't just say, I'll be right back. I'm going to go meditate and get myself centered and I'll be right back on this. They have to be fully present with absolute cognitive function and at the same time be completely grounded and balanced to have access to their higher intelligence. And that's what this does. And I got there, as I said, this gentleman found me and sent me. And, you know, I resisted at first. I felt I couldn't do it. I couldn't afford it, etc. But I did. I had him send me a book, and chapter 1 changed how I viewed the world pretty much. So I said, oh, I got to go. So I went. And my very first time, I was really appreciative of the science. And they gave me the opportunity to go into the lab, and they hooked me up with EEG, EKG. The whole thing was checking out the heart rate variability, the brain waves. So I could have the experience of witnessing what they were talking about. And they asked me to think of something that really stressed me out. And again, how many of you have had stress in the last, I would say the last year, but I could even say the last 24 hours, right? And stress could range from deep grief, the loss of a job, financial problems, just being aware of the collective shard energetics, like broken glass, or it could be as simple as you being in the grocery store in the 15 or less line, and somebody has 22 items and you know, because you counted, because you're in a hurry and they don't belong in that line and they know it and you know it, there's a huge sign. So you just get a little bit pissed off, and for 6 to 8 hours, your body is dumping 140 chemicals through all of your systems. And cortisol, the favorite one that we all love, the fat hormone, that's the first one to come. And it just courses through your entire body for 6 to 8 hours. That is up to a third of your day. And we don't even realize that for the most part. We don't have a clue how incredible we are and how unbelievable our bodies are. We are lights of being in a body contained, and the light is doing the work. And that's what I'm talking about, transformation as the capacity of an integral system to change its behaviors and structure without changing its core essence. Our core essence is pure light and love. So when I do the HeartMath techniques, as I witnessed sitting there, they said, think of something that stresses you. I thought of my daughter. At that time, she was struggling immensely. She was living on the street. She was bipolar. She was diagnosed bipolar. She had attempted suicide at 13. And long before that, I saw it in her. But the doctors at that time, they didn't advertise it in the magazines like they do now. Are you bipolar? They wouldn't even, I had to wait, and she had to have a whole blood panel, and that they wouldn't even do that until she went in the hospital with an attempted suicide. But she didn't really want to die. She just was beyond and beside herself like so many people are today. She walked to her friend's house, whose mother was a nurse, after she had taken a bunch of pills, and she went down there. And so that nurse got her to the hospital. But nonetheless, it broke my heart. And her father, my first husband, did commit suicide, as did my aunt when I was 16, as did my best friend in the world, Joanne's twin brother, as did my brother from another mother, as did my great grandfather. So I look at my life and I go, I'm surrounded with pain that goes beyond the capacity to survive it in a person's heart and mind. People need this, and it's inside of them already, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. And it's free. I mean, you know, there's tools and there's techniques and there's mentorship and there's coaching and there's training, of course, but none of it matters if you don't activate your own heart. None of it matters. And we've been so trained to believe everything from the outside and go to the experts and rely on the outside opinion. And those are just hand-me-down paradigms. I mean, what is truth? Somebody posted that today. What is truth? Is it an opinion or is it true? Well, I don't know. Was the world ever flat? It's ever changing. But the one that matters is the one that's in your heart, because authenticity is the only thing that is sustainable. Be you is the only thing that is sustainable. And you can't be you if you don't come to know you. And you can't be a light on somebody else's path unless you have a relationship with your own light. And so this is what this has given me. I sat there and I looked at that. They said, think of something stressful. And I was just honest. And I didn't even say it. I just thought of it. And it just was, you know, my child I brought her here. You know, my husband made a choice. My daughter didn't ask to be here. I just couldn't, you know, I felt like I had to save her because I couldn't save him. I know now I can't save anybody, but I was still very, very, very tenacious about that in a lot of pain, because that action doesn't end that day. It affected the whole family for many, many years. And I was the one guiding that ship. So that was that. I watched my heart rate variability go all over the base, and every single heartbeat affects the brain centers that impact your cognitive function, your emotional decisions, so many things. And you look at that, go, okay, so even if I get mad over the slightest thing, this is not only my health, but this is who I am, because you are your energy. Your truth is in your energy, and your energy is a reflection of your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your intentions, your environmental choices internally and externally, all of that. And consciously or unconsciously, knowingly or unknowingly, you can't good girl yourself out of it. You can't karma yourself out of it. You can't think yourself out of it, because it's true. And so they asked me then to think of something, specifically focus and activate with a sincere effort, an emotion that fills you with a sense of appreciation, love, care, or think of a person or a situation that fills you with that. So I went the polar opposite of what I was experiencing in that moment to the moment that I held her in my arms for the very first time as my newborn baby. And I mean, right this minute, every time I have that moment in my heart, and any mother here, even a mother of a puppy, and even a man with a really good divine feminine, you know that overwhelming love. And it was astounding to me to witness what happened in my entire system in a moment. It was an on-demand, instant harmonic alignment with all systems go in my body. And I could feel it, certainly, when I witnessed it, but that wasn't the real thing that really captured me. It was the realization that I had my own measurable field effect. And I've known forever, not ever, but a good 30, 40 years, that everything is energy. I was teaching Masaru Emoto. His book came out in 1994, and I was teaching it. And that's all the cellular stuff. So I've known that up here. But to get it, the experience in my cells, and then to assume responsibility for that energy, not just the gift and the blessing of that energy, but the profound responsibility and impact that that blessing carries, was a real eye-opener for me. And I realized in that moment that all the years, because she was only 13 at that time. Well, she was 15 then. It was 13 when it got really bad. And it was really bad. And we were raising her son, my grandson, who's now 23 and amazing. As is she. She's amazing. But it was really, really difficult. And I had a lot of residual energy in me that I didn't even know was there from my husband's death. You know, I thought I handled it. But I just dressed it up in a nice little outfit and tucked it away so I could manage it. And the whole world is going through that right now. All those little outfits, when you unzip them, that stuff is still there, because energy, emotion is energy in motion. And if the emotion doesn't come up, if we don't embody it and allow it to go out, it comes up to say, see ya. Then it just hangs out until something in our environment triggers it. And we think it's the person, and it's not, it's us. So using these tools and techniques, people go, oh, you do HeartMath. And I have to laugh. I don't do HeartMath. That's an institution. It's a nonprofit research-based institution with 3 different divisions, a global coherence initiative, the nonprofit, which I'm very privileged to be on the board for, and then the Educational Institute. And that's where I'm the coach, mentor, and certified trainer. But these are tools that we all have, and it starts with the heart. So from that moment on, I knew that that was my beginning. I've said this many times. It was the beginning of my love affair with HeartMath, and it has never stopped, because when you know different, you do different. You can't unsee and unexperience the depth of something like that. And so that's what I love. When you're breathing in, it starts with the breath for me. It's immediate. Shamans do that. You know, monks do that. You can look at our ancestors or indigenous shaman, and you know, breath is considered a holy breath. It begins with that, and that's the last thing you'll do too, is take that last breath. And in the in-between, it carries that light out, and it carries that light in, and it aligns that light. So in my world, energy is the language of the universe, and we need to start to learn how to read that energy. because it is encapsulated wavelengths, is just a constant carrier wave. And every single word is a cage for frequencies, every word. So even if we're quietly contemplating with all of the trauma that everyone's been through and all of the fear and the concern and the care, just renumerating it, it's destroying your body, and it's what you're putting out to the world. And energy, like, you know, we say it many ways. Scripture says, as you think, so shall you be. Physics says, like matter must draw into itself. Mom and dad say, birds of a feather flock together, but it all means the same thing, and it's true. So love is the golden ticket, because love is never wasted. It's highest good by nature. It's not just what you experience with your soulmate or your friends or your children's or your creatures or your reverence for Gaia. It's what you are made of, literally. It is the highest frequency. Compassion is one of the highest frequencies within the spectrum of love. And the vibrational amplitude, the rate at which it vibrates, has to do with your density or your light. So when you're breathing slowly, usually I say, focus your attention on the heart, eyes open or closed, attention on the heart, because your focus will go, your energy will flow where your focus goes. And then imagine breathing in and out through your heart. Like I'm sitting here looking at you right now, and I'm just imagining that light coming in and coming out, and then slowly breathing down, you know, maybe 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, a little slower and a little deeper than usual. And then just sit with it. And immediately that tells your body, oh, you're safe. It starts to bring that grounding in, that alignment begins to just innately, without you even having to do anything else. And at that time, when you would activate a feeling, because emotion is like the rocket fuel for the energy. The energy is neutral. And that's what the beautiful thing about, I say your truth is in your energy, because your energy doesn't lie. It's neutral until you assign it an emotion. And then it becomes anger or rage or passion or compliance or compassion or joy or happy head. But it's just waiting to be assigned that rocket fuel, and the intensity of that assignment impacts the amplitude of the energy that you're sending out. So it'll go far and wide and find its match. And then it finds its way back to you, because you have your own electronic heart signature, just like we have our own fingerprint. We all have our own electronic signature that from the time of the history of the universe, no one has ever had but you. No one will ever have but you. That's how special and unique you are. And I used to think, wow, we only work on 90% of our potential. And I taught conscious and subconscious and reticular activating and all the breathing, all the emotions. Well, the reason you bring in the emotions and all of the senses and the smells and the taste, you remember things with your smells. Chris, this morning, what does that smell like? You know, you can literally, and that's how we are programmed, really, but we can do it intentionally with loving care as opposed to by default. When my kids, we had 4 kids here, we had 2 bathrooms, 3 girls, 1 boy, and they all had to be at school at the same time. And it was big hair, big bang era. And by the time they got out of the bathroom and got to the kitchen table for breakfast, they were just cranky little kiddos. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to have you start your day this way. So you may not appreciate this, those of us that know better, but I started cooking bacon and sausage in the morning. And I did that because it was like a cartoon where you see those little characters going like this, you know, down the hallway. This is exactly what it was like. They just would wander into the kitchen, into the smell, and sit down, and we could chat. And because I know that I can change their brain chemistry through my heart, I would set their tone before they got ramped up. And they didn't even know it, but I did. They have no idea what a good mom I am. No, I'm kidding. But sincerely, and I sort of been jumping all over the place, so forgive me for that. But that day when they said, think of something that is stressful and think of something that fills your heart, what I learned in that moment was that with all that I'd been through and all the years with my husband and we're looking at like 20 years of this now, I didn't have a resolve. And then I discovered it was in my own heart. That blew my mind. And it really amped up my sense of responsibility, not only for myself, but for the fact that I affect every one of you when we're not here anymore. When you go to sleep at night, I'm still affecting you because we're all connected by the same stuff. And so that really, it gave me big hope. And that changed my life forever. And it allowed me to get in and change her life and encourage her to change her own, which she did. She lived in a treehouse in my backyard for 6 months before she was allowed to be back in our home. We wired it with power. She had a internet and a few occasional screams in the night when a spider would drop on her. But I knew she was not on the street. And I also knew that I was safe and that the household was right and that she did that on her own. And when, you know, she has says to me, because when I share the story, sometimes I didn't do it forever because she's really outgoing and really strong. And when she was manic, you don't want to be at her best. And it's her story, not mine. She said, Mom, I own my story. She says, when you hit rock bottom and you take care of yourself, nobody will ever take anything away from you again. And I'm proud of myself. And so I'm really proud of her. But it gave me resilience as a mother. And that's what this is all about. The HeartMath tools, breathing through the heart, going to your heart, lining up all those systems, attuning your lens on the world through your vibrational countenance. It's a very different view. And you choose that. I mean, we do. And that doesn't mean it's easy. It is not easy. I say this often. I feel it's more difficult to be a conscious, loving being than it is just go out there and let your emotions roll. But that's another topic. We should let our emotions roll because we have been taught that we live in boxes where this is a good box and this is a bad box and this is a fat box and this is a skinny box. We don't. We've agreed to be in those boxes and those days are over. Those boxes don't really exist. If we were taught to be free with our emotions, we wouldn't get all sick and stuck. And we wouldn't think it was somebody else creating those emotions in us because we would be proud to assume self-responsibility. We would be in alignment with a reverent sense for ourselves and each other and the environment with that responsibility. And that's where I'm at in the world. Those are the things that I focus on. Those are the things that I want to bring to the world because every single person in the world is limitless, no matter what package they come in. Because in the inside, it's the same. And in my years of training and teaching, of course, you know, I was way into personal development and the goal setting and the affirmations and I still do, but I'm very careful when I say I am, and everything is present tense because I know when I say I am, I'm calling in divine nature. So I better want it. And I really want people to know that too. And the other thing is, you know, the power that you have, the light that you have. My thing is living your light out loud and inspiring others to do the same and bringing their light to the world because it's unique for every single person. 3 billion, I said $32 billion volts the other day, but it would take 3 billion 12-volt batteries to equal the electrical potential of one human body. Okay, so when that electrical potential holds information and holds power and is rooted in love, and we're only ever tapping into maybe 10% of that, it's just time to tap into it. It's just waiting to be tapped into. And I believe that I know that I'm here for this time. And HeartMath, that is their mission. They were here for this time to serve the masses, to create a field effect that is a place of coherent, resonant energy that is love, that will help those people that are stuck and exhausted and hurting to just lift a little bit more, not even with their own accord, just because we're all one and we have that effect on each other. So I think I got way off track. I don't know. But that's what I do in the world. That's what I love to do in the world. And I think it's never been more important. And to give ourselves permission to be who we are. This is what I want to say. You know, and I think a lot about the spirituality. You know, everybody's trying to be spiritual. Not everybody, but it's like everything else. I'm a this, I'm a that. There's all these hats, all these labels. Nope. We're all beings of light and containers, and we have different containers. And apparently we chose those containers. So we should probably take heed and take care of them. But being spiritual, you come from pure spirit, pure love. Oh, how much time do I have? Right.
You're good to go, Donna.
I'm up because, okay. So being spiritual is when you're in the heavens or wherever before you come here. And when you go back to that light that I'm talking about, that love that you already are, without the body, without the privilege of experiencing the emotions that we're supposed to be able to experience, and the expressions that we are in our hands, our voice, and in actions, we're an excuse for God to love and celebrate his creation. And every time we have those emotions, that's what's happening, So I think for us to become spiritual here is us becoming fully human and developing and committing to the capacity to embrace our humanity in its totality without judgment. The good box, the bad box, those are all labels. Everything has a beginning and end. So if you're angry, guess what? It's going to stop. And if you're frustrated, it's going to go away. We have a beginning and an end. So in the middle of that is when we need to be the light, and we need to exercise the freedom that we have being human. And I think that's what being spiritual really is. And I had an experience where I was bolted out of bed like a lightning bolt, flew up. Fabulous experience, unbelievable. I have shared with many of you because I just shared this recently for the very first time, actually. And that was almost 25 years ago. And I was like shaking, literally like I was electrocuted, which I had experienced being hit with a taser when I grabbed the flashlight with the taser in it that my husband gifted me with and didn't know it had a taser in it. And whoa, it was not the same joy, let me tell you, but it was the same shocking vibratory experience. Only this one was more like really fabulously wonderful. My heart was filled with love, tears flowing gently for 2 days. It was just crazy nature. Everything I saw was energy, everything. And as I said, I'm not a Reiki master. I have seen auras, but I was seeing through everything. I saw that everything is made of energy. So that's like telling your child, don't touch the stove, it's hot, and they have the knowledge. And then they touch the stove, and then they have 5 fingers full of wisdom. And that was that transition for me. I went from knowing what I knew to being blown away by what I knew, because now I had the experience. And I wish that for everybody, because we would see the world differently, and we would hold ourselves differently, and we would hold ourselves accountably in a different way. And I know that Regenrus is in line with all of this. It is all about loving the planet, loving the people. What I do with HeartMath tools and techniques creates in the system what some of your products can do in terms of grounding and balancing out and maintaining that resilience and helping sustain that with the body. Once you can retrain the cells, but the only way you can retrain the habitual cellular patterns and structures is through creating a whole new baseline, which is your auto response emotionally and energetically. Those go-to emotions that happen under all circumstances. When you reframe those, you have a new constitution within, and then you can build resilience so that it can be more lasting, everlasting, and a greater gift to give. And you can shine your light and live your light out loud as only you can do. Because you are one of a one in an infinite span, never was, never will be. So thank you for being you. Thank you for this time. And yes, we have a program. We used to train it, but it's fairly recent. And when COVID came out, we, as HeartMath, just gave it to the world at no cost because it's really needed. And it's not the deep dive. That's what I do on the side, but it's enough to make a difference. It's only 90 minutes in length. It is 9 separate little video chapters. And they're all my friends. They're all really lovely people. And that is available to you at heartmath.com at no charge. Unfortunately, my website is it's under construction, or I would have sent you there. But please do go to heartmath.com. At the end of what we're about to show you, it will say .org, and you can get it there, but it's a little bit more of a rabbit hole. So whatever works for you, both is available. And with that, thank you for this time. I love you. I love Regenrus. I love your mission. I'm honored to be here.
Among the many, many gifts that you have, there is an extraordinary one that always is highlighted for me, and that is your ability to shine a brighter light on other people's paths. And that is an exceptional gift. And it's a gift for me personally. And I just know that your language has provided exceptional value for those live tonight. And for those listening on the recording, you know, play it back, listen to it again, share it, share it, share it. I mean, our invitation is profound. We called this Limitless because we don't want to know how far and wide the impact of this call goes. That's how important it is. And that's our invitation. Thank you, Cindy, for creating a space for something beautiful like this to happen out of love. Thank you, Donna, for being so wholly and completely you and sharing your gifts. Thank you, everyone, for joining live. Thank you, everyone, for joining when you do join. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful night. Bye for now.